So step one on solving any equation is to make sure that it's simplified, or to simplify both sides, one side at a time. Now, is there anything to do on the left side? Is there any distributive property or combining like terms on the left side?
No.
Is there any combining like terms or distributive property on the right side?
No.
No. So this is what we call a simplified equation. As a matter of fact, is 3 a simplified equation? Is it simplified?
No.
Yes, it is. Okay, once again, guys.
What's the difference?
So here are the instructions to solving any equation, right? We had this on the other videos. Step 1 is to simplify each side of the equation. Do one side at a time. Now, what does it mean to simplify? Simplify means distributive property and combining like terms. Okay? So a lot of times, especially on this worksheet, the equations are already simplified. You don't have to do step 1. There is no distributive property or combining like terms. So let's go back to the worksheet and let me ask you this. Number 3, is it simplified? Is number 3 a simplified equation? Yes, it is. Look, if you look at the left side, is there any distributive property here? No. Is there any combining like terms here? No. How about the other side? Is there any distributive property over here or combining like terms over here?
No.
No. So that's why that's already simplified. There is no step 1. You don't have to do anything. It's already simplified equation. All right? So I just want to do a little exercise here. Let's go through each of these. Is number 4 simplified?
Yes.
Yes, it is. There's no distributive property. There's no combining like terms. Is number 5 simplified?
No.
Is there any, on the left side, is there any distributive property? No. Is there any combining like terms? No. How about the right side? Is there any distributive property? Is there any combining like terms? So is this simplified?
Yes.
Yeah, 5 simplified. Is number 6 simplified?
Yes.
Yeah. Is number 7 simplified?
Yes.
Yes. Number 8, is it simplified?
Yes.
Yes. Number 9, is it simplified?
Yes.
Man, it looks like all of them are simplified. Which is the first one that's not simplified? Number 11. Why is it not simplified? Well, the left side simplified, but the right side is not. You could actually distribute 4 times 3 and 4 times 2. So that's what I mean by is it simplified. Number 12 is also not simplified. You could distribute on the left side, and you could also distribute on the right side. So there's simplification that you could do right there. So when we think of step 1, which is simplify, we're really asking, do you have to do any distributive property or combining like terms? Half of these questions are already simplified. So Isaac, you just jump right to step 2, which is the goal, to get the variable by itself on one side of the equation. So you want to get x by itself on one side of the equation. How do you do that? If you want to get rid of something, you do the opposite. And remember, what you do to one side, you do to the other side to maintain the balance. So this is our assignment up here, numbers 4 through 24 even, and also 7, 11, and 21. Now, we're not going to be able to do all of these. There are some special cases that really give us weird answers, all right? And we'll get to that tomorrow. Let's just do the ones that we could do right now. Let's start with number 4. You want to solve this thing. Is there any simplification to do? Do I need to do distributive property or combining like terms?
No.
No, it's already simplified. So I'm going to move on to my goal, to get x by itself on one side, in this case h. So where's h at? Is it on the left side or the right side of the equal sign?
Both sides.
It's on both sides. I don't want it on both sides. So I need to get rid of one of them. All right, so which one do you want to get rid of? The 2h or the h?
2h.
Now, I'll tell you what. There's many roads to the same place. Some roads are quicker, more direct. They're faster. Some roads are longer, right? So if you were, let's think about this. Don't copy this down. Just watch me do it. If I were to subtract 2h, well, 2h, not 2x, and subtract 2h, I'm going to end up with a negative 1h over here. So instead of that, how about we just subtract h instead? That way it's a really easy situation. What is 2h take away 1h? That's just 1h, right? Just h. So let's write that down. It's just h. The minus sign comes down, the 8 comes down, the equals comes down, and the 17 comes down. You see? So before we had h's on both sides. I got rid of this guy. It canceled out. I end up with a new equation that says h minus 8 equals 17. Now it's really easy to solve. I'm just going to add 8 to both sides. Add 8. And bring down the h. H equals 25. And there's my answer. Now, if you wanted to, let's say you're taking this quiz or this big test Friday, and you have some time left over, what you could do is double check your answer. The number 25, if you plug it in right here, 25 times 2. 2 times 25, and you could jot this down on the side. 2 times 25 is 50. 50 take away 8 is actually 42. So I'd end up with 42 on the left side. Let's see if it equals to the same thing, plugging in 25 up here. 25 plus 17. 25 plus 17, that's also 42. So you've double checked it. It's a true statement. Okay? So let's move on to the next one. Again, all these questions on the first half of this homework are already simplified. So you just move on to step 2, which is getting n by itself on one side. On number 6, you could add 12 to get rid of this 12, or you could subtract 12 to get rid of this 12, or you could add 4n to get rid of this negative 4n, or you could subtract 4n to get rid of this positive 4n. See, so there's really a lot of different ways that you could solve this equation and get the correct answer. There's many roads to the same place. I'm going to always go back to what's our goal: to get n by itself on one side of the equal sign. Like I said, these are already simplified. So here's n and here's n. There's n's on both sides. I'm going to get rid of one of the n's. So which one would you like to get rid of? The positive 4n or the negative 4n? Okay, so let's get rid of the negative 4n. And how do we do that? We're going to get rid of it by doing the opposite of negative 4n, which is plus 4n. That will get rid of it. And what you do to one side, it's going to be off balance right now. If you added 4n, it's going to tilt this way. So you got to add 4n to this other side. You have to go plus 4n over here as well in order to maintain that balance, that equality. Okay? So on the left side, 4n plus 4n, that's what? 8n. And let me bring down the rest. Let me bring down the minus 12. Let me bring down the equal and bring down the 12 over here. So now I have an equation with n just on the left side. It's no longer on both sides like it used to be up here. Now it's just on this side. So now we could focus in on the goal, getting n by itself on that left side. So I need to get rid of the 8 and the negative 12. What do I get rid of first? The negative 12. How do I get rid of a minus 12? Plus 12. That'll cancel. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. So my new equation will be 8n equals 24, because 12 plus 12 is 24. My final step will be to do what? Divide by 8. And divide by 8. 8's cancel, n equals 3. If you have time, plug it back in, see if it gives you a true statement. So let's move on to the next one. Number 8 is a special type of equation. You know what? I'm not going to do this one right now. I'll explain this tomorrow when we continue with the lesson. This is a special case. So let's move on to the next one. We'll do 8 tomorrow. I forgot about 7. 7's one of those odd ones that we added on there. So we want to solve. This is already simplified. Let's get x by itself on one side. I have x's on both sides. You can clearly see x's on both sides of the equal sign. I don't want x's on both sides. So what do? So let's think about the possibilities, guys. If you wanted to get rid of the 7x, I'd have to subtract 7x and subtract 7x, and you'd end up with a negative x over here. Okay, that's fine. Or you could get rid of the 4x by subtracting 4x and subtracting 4x, and you don't end up with a negative situation with the x. So it's totally up to you. There's many ways to get to the answer. I'm going to actually get rid of the 4x, okay? I'm going to get rid of the 4x, subtract 4x, subtract 4x. That way you end up with a nice 3x right there, okay? And let's rewrite everything else. The equal sign comes down, the negative 9's right there, the plus 12 is right there. So now what do? If I moved this x, if it canceled out, I moved it from the left side and now it's just on the right side. Let's isolate the x. Let's get rid of the 3 and the 12. What do you get rid of first? The 12. How do I get rid of a plus 12? Minus 12. So that'll cancel out. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So I'm going to subtract 12 over here. What's negative 9 minus 12? You owe $9. You owe $12. You're going to owe how much? You're going to owe 21. Equals the 3x comes down. Probably should have done that in a different color. And yes, the final step would be to get rid of the multiplication of 3 to get x by itself on the right side. So we're going to divide by 3 to get rid of that multiplication of 3. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Final answer is x equals negative 7. X equals negative 7 is the correct answer for number 7. Let's jump to the next question. You know what? We are kind of running out of time. Let me skip around better. Actually, 11 is going to be a special case also. We're going to be reviewing those tomorrow in class. So let's keep jumping around. So 12 is a good one. Let's do number 12 quickly. Once again, step 1 is to simplify. And on this equation, we can simplify. And once again, it says simplify means distributed property and combining like terms. And it does say to do one side at a time. So I am going to cover up one side and do the left side. And then I'll cover up the left side and do the right side. So on the left side, we're going to distribute the 3. 3 times 5j is 15j. And then 3 times 2, that's 6. Okay, so that's all you could do on the left side. Now let's move it over and let's simplify the right side now. Let's distribute that 2. 2 times 3j, that's 6j. 2 times negative 6, that's negative 12. And of course, the equal sign is going to come right down between the two terms, or between the two sides. So I've simplified the equation. Now I could worry about getting j by itself on one side. So I do have a 15j here and a 6j here. Let's get rid of one of them. Which one do you want to get rid of? 6j is definitely the better option, because if you get rid of 6j and take away 6j, you're going to get a positive j situation. If you subtracted 15j and subtract 15j, you'd end up with a negative. So it's probably better to get rid of the 6j. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 6j here. That way it cancels out, and subtract 6j over here. 15 take away 6, or 15j's take away 6j's, that's 9j's. Let me bring down the plus 6, bring down the equal, bring down the minus 12. So I'm almost done here. I just need to get j by itself on the left side. I want to subtract 6 on both sides. So on the left side, it does cancel. I have 9j left over. The equal sign comes down. And on the right side, negative 12 take away 6. That's like you owe 12, you owe 6. You're going to owe 18. So for my final step, I need to get rid of that 9 in front of the j, which is really a multiplication of 9 in front of the j. So I need to divide by 9. Divide by 9. J equals negative 2 is my answer. Number 16 is another good one. Let's simplify the left side. So is there any distributed property on the left side? Absolutely. So let's distribute 2 times 3u, that's 6u. 2 times 7, that's 14. I've distributed on the left. I've simplified. There's nothing else to do. So now let me distribute on the right. So on the right, I'm going to distribute that negative 4 times 3, that's negative 12. Negative 4 times negative 2u, that's positive 8u. And now I have an equal sign between those two sides. So what next? I have u's on both sides of the equal sign. I don't want u's on both sides. I want to get rid of the 6u. Last time I moved the u to the left. I want to move the u to the right this time. So I'm going to subtract 6u. It'll cancel. Subtract 6u. And I will have 14 equals negative 12 plus 2u. So I still need to get the u by itself right here. So I want to get rid of that minus 12 by adding 12 to both sides. And on the left side, I will get 26. On the right side, I have the 2u left over. Final step is to divide both sides by 2. U equals 13.